Hello, and welcome once again to Family Historian. My name is Stephen Conti. Tonight we are going to learn about an often overlooked source for the genealogist, your local museum. And that will be tonight's topic, the Genealogy Museum. And joining me on tonight's show is a very good friend of mine. He's been here countless times. You know him by heart. His name is Tom Riley. Tom is a professional historian, a teacher, a genealogist, the author of 9 books and more on the way, and the founder of a museum in Bloomingdale, New Jersey. And tonight, Tom is going to discuss the importance of doing research in your local town museum. And now let's welcome part of the furniture, Tom Riley. Tom, welcome back.
Happy to be here, Stephen.
Great. It's always good to see you because you are a man of great knowledge. Okay. Now, Tom, most towns in New Jersey or in the nation will have a local museum. Not all, but most, as you mentioned to me. Now, if they don't have a museum, they will have a historical society. What is the difference between the historical society and the actual museum?
Well, in most cases on the local level, it'll be the local historical society that will run the museum. Not always, but most of the time.
Yeah.
Some museums, of course, are county, some are state, but local museums really are run by, most of the time, the local historical society.
Right. Now, as I mentioned in my intro, not all towns will have a museum. My hometown, Fairfield, we have a local historical society, but we don't have a museum. We almost did, but this came in the way. Okay.
Always.
And your town, Bloomingdale, where you are the town historian, you had the historical society for many years. You just got your museum in what year?
A year and a half ago.
Okay, brand
March
new.
2023.
So where did you conduct the meetings of your historical society?
Well, it wasn't an official society. It was actually a committee that was formed to celebrate the town's 100th anniversary, the Centennial Committee.
Right.
And which worked out very well. 2018, we had a summer and a winter event.
Yeah.
And out of those meetings came, not the idea, but the emphasis to have a museum.
And that was your emphasis. Okay, I know you're very modest, but he is the founder and the curator of the Bloomingdale Museum in Passaic County. And we'll highlight that museum very shortly. But most of these historical societies without a museum, a building, they will meet in libraries, the municipal building,
Sure.
and private homes.
Sure.
Okay, so that is the difference. Okay, now let's talk about those towns that are very fortunate. I have my notes here, with both historical societies and the local museum. The town of Butler in Morris County. Now we're just doing about 6 museums tonight in northern New Jersey, but museums are all over the nation. Okay, but we're using these as an example. Butler, which is in the train station. You have given talks there many times, and there is a wonderful research area there, books, and you have file cabinets. So what are the advantages of doing genealogical research in a museum over a library?
Well, Butler is a perfect example of that. And all of the museums we're going to be talking about tonight are in historical buildings. So not only do they become sources of genealogical information, it's also helping preserve, historical buildings as well, like
Right.
the railroad station, for
Yes.
instance. Butler actually, through 3 grants, it took about $500,000 in order to restore that and turn it into a museum from Butler and the Morris County Historical Society. So the big advantage for Butler, and I personally have interest here because almost everyone in Butler and Bloomingdale at one time or another worked in one of the two rubber mills in Butler. It was a factory town. Both
Yes,
towns were
yes.
really factory towns.
Right.
You worked in Butler, maybe you lived in Bloomingdale. So when I went there to research originally many years ago, not only could I find my ancestors through their information that they have there, which is considerable. They had a number of historians in the past that kept track of local families, documented it in the museum.
Yes.
So not only could I find them, but I could also see what they made, in the mills, because Butler has a really good example of almost everything they made there.
The occupation of your ancestor.
That's right. Everything from combs, was hard rubber. Hard rubber
Yeah.
was plastic before plastic.
Yeah.
And many things that are made out of plastic today were made out of hard rubber.
Right.
Like I said, everything from combs to bowling balls they made in that factory. So not only could I find my ancestors, but I could actually see the products they were making in the factories.
Right. So these museums will reflect the industry that was in that town.
Almost every time you'll find information about the industry or industries
Right.
in the local towns.
And the rubber mills are still there. I mean, they made them into buildings now or offices.
Well, the soft rubber mill burned down in 1957.
Okay.
Was one of the biggest fires in New Jersey.
Right, right.
400 jobs were lost. The hard rubber mill lasted until 1974 when the company moved to Tennessee.
Yeah.
So the building that was the hard rubber mill is now divided up into, they say, like 25 different small industries that occupy that building.
Right. It's like the silk mills in Patterson,
Exactly.
and they're still standing. And I think in the town of Little Falls, the old carpet buildings
That's right.
are now condominiums.
There you
very,
go.
very expensive. I know people who live there. Now, there's one more source of the local museum, and that would be a human being known as the local historian. Okay? Nothing like having someone there on hand, like Tom in Bloomingdale, and I'm sure Butler has many people there who will help you, who are descendants of the early Butlerites.
For sure. And the Butler Museum is open the first and third Saturdays of every month. And 2 members of the society are there every time. They take turns.
Yes.
And if they don't know the answers, any genealogical questions,
Right.
they would be able to point you to someone or get the answer for you from somebody else in the society.
Wonderful.
One thing at the Butler Museum, they have all the yearbooks from Butler High School, and it's surprising how many people come in looking for their father or even their grandfather,
Yes.
when they were in high school.
Yes, yeah, it's amazing. So the museum is a wonderful source that has been overlooked. I do want to interject something here. I know a young man who is now going for his master's in museum science, or he wants to be a curator, which is a very well-paying job in a big museum. And one of his assignments was how to introduce genealogy into the museum, the local museum. So he called upon yours truly, and we did a video for his professor.
Very good.
And I spoke about the importance of having the local families represented in the museum, and the kid got an A, an
Very
A
good.
plus. So
there you go.
that's the importance of doing this research. Now let's get to your baby, okay? The Bloomingdale Museum, and guess where? Bloomingdale, Passaic County, New Jersey, founded a year and a half ago by my good buddy here, Tom Riley. Now, what are I was there one day when a lady came in and gave you her mother's records. Her mother was a genealogist, and you have file cabinets there. Well, tell us about what you have there, besides your wonderful artifacts.
Well, being interested in genealogy for many years, I made an effort to document as many of the original old families as I could. So we have a vertical file, which has probably around 30 files of immigrant ancestors, all the way back to the immigrant ancestor
Right.
of local families.
Right.
We also have a lot of information about local other towns, in the area. Bloomingdale was part of Pumpton Township, So Pumpton Township included Wanacue, Ringwood, and Bloomingdale at the end. So we have a lot of information about the Pumpton Township families and history.
And your sister town, Butler.
Butler, of course.
Okay, fine. You're right over the river there. Okay. Now, you also have something unique there. The museum is in the dugout of a baseball field.
The clubhouse.
The clubhouse. Okay,
Right.
not the dugout. And you have a baseball room. What team was at that?
Well, it was called the Bloomingdale Troopers. And 1946, 47, 48.
Yeah.
And in 1948, they were an official minor league team, professional team
Yes.
of the Cleveland Indians. And the building that the museum is in was their clubhouse.
Right.
So they had away and home clubhouses, for the teams. And the museum's part of the office and part of what used to be the shower room.
Right, right. And you might get that garage.
And next door was a firehouse, which was also originally part of the museum. I mean, part of the building, the
Yes.
clubhouse.
Yes.
And we are going to get that, which will make the museum twice the size.
Very good. And then you do have that research area, the file cabinets, which I saw. But you do have that baseball room.
Yes. And of maybe 120 players, many of whom, we have the name of all of them. Many
Yeah.
of them were local guys. 4 of them made it to the major leagues. So growing up a half a block from the field, which, by the way, is a really beautiful field.
And you played baseball
Oh,
there
yeah.
as a teenager.
Everybody, well, Little League was started there. Butler High School played there. It really is a beautiful fieldstone stadium. And that's why the professional team came there.
Right, right.
So 4 men that played on this team made it to the major leagues, and one of them, Jim Lemon, was pretty famous. In 1960, when Mickey Mantle hit 60 home runs for the American League, Roger Maris hit 59. Well, Jim Lemon was right in there. He hit 38,
My word. Excellent.
and he played for the Bloomingdale Troopers
Right.
originally.
Now, here's something else unique about Bloomingdale, which I did not know, and we have some souvenirs of the marching band. It's the earliest marching band in New Jersey.
That's right.
Now, what year was that founded?
I believe it was 1886. And, bands played a very important part in local towns before television, before radio even, before mass media.
Right.
Like in Bloomingdale, they had a Friday night concert every night. I mean, every Friday in the park. Butler had 4 bands at one time.
Yeah.
So people had to make their own entertainment. And the Bloomingdale Cornet Band is the oldest marching band in New Jersey.
1880.
6, I believe.
Good. And then, of course, you have the occupations, which many of the Bloomingdale people worked in the Butler rubber mills.
Or in Pumpkin Lakes, there was the DuPont Company, which was a really big ammunition and black powder company.
Right. And, of course, the local historian, yours truly, Tom Riley. He is there to help you. And you're there on Saturdays.
Every Saturday, 10 to 4.
Right, very good. Now, we have another personal, I'll get to your book shortly.
Okay.
Another personal, wonderful, the pride of Pequannock, the Martin Berry House. And I took a tour. It is magnificent. It is the pride of Pequannock. And this is with the Pequannock Historical Society. Can you tell us about the Martin Berry House, which is a museum and research area, and the year it was built? This is mind-boggling.
Well, the original house goes back to 1720, which is really, really early. And the Berries, along with other, a handful of families, they were the original settlers of the Pumpton Plains, of the Pequannock area.
Right.
And they not only have the history of the Berry family, but there were 14 different owners of that house over the years. So they have the history of all of those families. And the research area, because it goes back so far, there are so many different families connected to that house and connected to Pequannock that they have a very good research area with a very good vertical file of a lot of families.
Right. Martin Berry, he was born in 1693, died in 1784, and he's of Dutch descent. His family came here in the 1660s.
Correct. To New Amsterdam?
And then came over to New Jersey.
That's right.
And it's right on Route 23 south, I believe.
Yes, yes.
And I went there a few weeks ago, and of course you were my tour guide. Now, tell our viewers your personal connection to this house and to Martin Berry himself.
Well, Martin Berry, who built the original house in 1720, is my sixth great-grandfather.
So he's your, I'll do it, great, 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 great grandpa.
Correct.
You're a direct descendant.
Correct.
He had 9 kids.
Yes.
And do you know what kid you descend from?
Elizabeth was one of his daughters who married a cook, and my great-grandmother was a cook.
Right.
So
that's
it's through the Cook
connection.
family that I'm connected.
And you just found this out, is that right?
Yeah, right. Yep, not too long ago.
You were doing research or someone told you or?
Well, I'm actually a member of the Martin Berry House Committee, of the Pequannock Historical Society.
Yes, yes.
And I started giving tours with other people, of course. So I wanted to, become more familiar with, the people in the house. And that's when I discovered the connection.
Right. So Pequannock is a very lucky town because not only do they have the Historical Society, but the pride of Pequannock is the Martin Berry House.
They also have a museum in addition to the Martin Berry House, which is the old railroad station.
Yes, yes.
In Pequannock. And it's very good because it goes back so far. So if you're researching back to original immigrant ancestors, chances are there's some connection there with the Pequannock and the Martin Berry House if you're from northern New Jersey.
Right, right. Now we're coming to a lovely town in northern New Jersey. It's a beautiful area, West Milford, the West Milford Historical Society and Museum, which is in a very old church, a very pretty church, and they will have information on the local families and their occupations, very connected with Greenwood Lake. And can you tell our viewers about that connection?
Well, West Milford was very agricultural, right up until relatively recently. And it is a very nice museum in the old church.
Yes.
So it has a real historical effect, and they also have very nice historical displays there.
Right.
And they were important in helping us get the Bloomingdale Museum going. They helped us a lot.
Great.
But one of the industries they did have in West Milford, because half of Greenwood Lake is in New Jersey, the other half in New York.
In New York.
And the half that's in New Jersey, of course, is West Milford. And West Milford, like we talked about on one of your shows, was a major source of ice.
Yes, yes.
And we don't realize how important ice was before refrigeration. And they took tons and tons of, one year at their best year, they took 365 railroad cars full of ice off of Greenwood Lake.
Yeah.
So they employed many, many, many people.
Yeah.
Now, some ice houses were small. Sometimes individual houses would have their own ice house.
Yeah.
But commercial ice houses, like the one at Greenwood Lake, Echo Lake, Lake Apacon, they were major employees and major industries in the wintertime.
And that's a beautiful area. That's the Highlands. We're getting to the Highlands now.
Yep.
Is that Passaic County?
Yes.
It is, okay. Now we're going to come to the gem of Passaic County, the Ringwood Manor State Park, which is part of the Highlands Historical Society. I'm sure many of you out there have been to the Manor House, which is really a research library. Is that correct?
Well, it's a state park, so the state owns the building, owns the Manor House. And the Highlands Historical Society is the official friends group of Ringwood Manor.
Right.
So they're the ones that have the library in the Manor House. And it's available, you contact the Highlands Historical Society if you're doing research. And like in Butler, there'll be somebody in the Highlands Society which will be able to help you out. Ralph Colfax is the president, and he is a storehouse of knowledge about local families and local history.
Yeah. And what was the industry there in that area?
Well,
We did a show on this once before. Yes.
it's the very beginning of the iron industry, not just in New Jersey, but in the whole country. And they have the history there of not only the iron masters, like some of them were famous. Like Hazen Clever was very famous. He's the one that really
Yes.
started the iron industry in New Jersey.
Yes.
Robert Erskine during the Revolutionary War was a major iron master. So not only do they have the history of those iron masters, but there are records available for other people as well.
The iron workers themselves?
For instance, I discovered again when I was doing research way back that my great-grandfather, worked at Ringwood in the forge as an iron worker there. So, yes, and it's through the Highlands Historical Society that they can help you with your research.
Great, wonderful. And you're doing research in a beautiful setting in that manor house there. And the grounds are lovely. I took a whole tour of that place many years ago.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's very beautiful.
And there's always something going on there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Related to Ringwood Manor is the Long Pond Iron Works,
Yes.
which is in West Milford, but it's very close to Ringwood Manor. They're associated, and that's a lot of the buildings are restored. You can visit the iron furnace that was there, and they have a museum as well at the Long Pond Iron Works.
Right. Now, don't you, or is it your brother, you have a collection of guns on display there from the Civil War? Was that
Well,
your contribution?
No, I studied it.
I see.
I wrote a book about it.
Oh, that was it, yes.
It's the Abraham Hewitt Civil War firearms collection.
I see, I
And
see.
in the main hall, on all the walls, there are 42 Civil War era weapons, guns, long rifles that were used in the Civil War. Ringwood was owned by Abraham Hewitt, and his Trenton Iron Works, which got their iron from Ringwood, was the major producer of gun barrel
I see,
iron.
I see.
And that's why that collection comes. He wanted a copy of the weapons that he helped produce.
And you wrote a book about that. That was
documented.
it. I knew there was a connection there. Okay, very good. So they have various collections there. And of course, the local historian and curator is always there to help you.
Yes, and the Highlands Historical Society, if the people at Ringwood Manor can't, the state employees can't help you, they'll refer you to the Highlands Historical Society where somebody can help you out.
Right. Now, here's a museum that is kind of close to my heart, the Canal Society of New Jersey. They have a wonderful research/museum. Is that in Parsippany, New Jersey?
The headquarters is in Parsippany, and that's where their research facility is. They have
Okay.
some displays there, but their research room is there. And like we've been talking about, there's always somebody there that can help you out, and they have a really, really good research museum.
And they have info on Morris Canal workers.
Yes.
If your ancestor worked on the Morris
On the canal, in the barges, or on the canal itself,
right?
they're especially good at.
Because my great-grandfather worked on the Morris Canal in Boonton, New Jersey.
There you go.
And every time I go to Boonton, there's a small remnant of that
Yes, they
canal
have a
left.
park there, yep.
In the park there, I can feel his presence.
There you
he's
go.
watching me.
There you go.
But I have to do research to see if I can find his name. He worked there in the 1890s.
There are records, and the Canal Society has some that can help you out. If not, they can tell you where to go to look.
Right.
For
right.
instance, if you had an ancestor that worked building the canal,
Yeah.
now those records are all in the Morris Canal Company
All right.
records.
Those are the big shots, the guys who are
well, the
who
ones that
built
actually
it.
built it, yes.
Right, I see. And that's back in the 1830s, I think it was
Yes.
built.
And
Yeah,
most of
yeah.
it was immigrant labor,
Yes.
but they do have payrolls and things like that that are available through the Canal Society
Right.
office.
Right. All of these wonderful historical societies / museums do have a website. So look at those websites. They will tell you the hours of operation and what they contain. I know the Ringwood Manor has a booklet showing you all of the holdings of that area. Before we close, I mentioned that Tom is the author of how many books now?
9.
And the most recent one was on the town of
Riverdale.
Riverdale, okay. But when I first met you, he did write a book on the Manning Avenue Cemetery in Butler, which I have toured, Halloween tours, we do that. This is your first book. It's a guide.
Yeah, it lists everybody that's buried there and many biographies of people who were buried there.
Right.
It's really an historical cemetery. There are many, many veterans buried there.
And what is this? This is a book on Butler.
The Brown Sanders Cemetery is another Butler museum, which we actually did first because neither one of these museums were documented. We didn't know who was buried there.
Right.
And the Manning Museum was really in bad shape. It was really vandalized.
Right.
So we rebuilt it, we restored it, and then we recorded everybody that's buried there.
Very good. Now, Tom, before we have a few moments left, tell our viewers, who are living in a town without a museum, and the importance of having a museum, a local museum. No matter what size it may be, the importance of having it.
Even a room, if you start with a room even, some place where the town's history can be documented because so many stories are lost. That's really my incentive for writing these books.
Right.
To tell stories that haven't been told that might be lost unless they're documented. And that's what a museum does. It gives you a central focus where future generations can not only learn about the history of their town, but also the people that built those towns.
Right,
and that's where our genealogical research comes in.
And you have many school groups that come into your museum.
Yes, and
Grade schools and high schools.
as a matter of fact, I was a member of the Butler Committee before we started Bloomingdale, and they have a spring field trip for 5th grade. New Jersey history is part of the 5th grade curriculum.
Wonderful.
So the 5th graders we give them a tour of the museum.
Wonderful.
And then they go up to the cemetery, and half the time is spent at the cemetery, half the time at the museum.
And they like that, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. Well, listen, Tom, thank you again and again. I think I've used you up. I don't know. I'm sure I haven't. But it was wonderful having you here. You are a good friend to my show, and we all love you. And on that note, as I say, for the past 37 or 38 years I've been doing this, we are all descendants of ancient civilizations. Genealogy is your key to the history of your family. And so until next time, this is Stephen Conti wishing you the best of luck in your research and happy ancestor hunting. Good night.